Welcome. Today we're going to use percentages to calculate interest. Interest is the word we use to refer to the money that the bank gives us in return for us putting our money into the bank. That may sound weird. When we open a bank account and we give our money to the bank doesn't actually just keep your money safe in a drawer, in a cupboard, to give it back to you when you want it. The bank actually uses your money all the time. They invest it in all sorts of things, and they make a lot of money investing your money. And in return for that, they give you a little bit of that profit that they're making off of your money, only a small portion, and they call that interest. It's like they're paying you back for letting them use your money. All right. Now there's different ways of calculating interest. This is what normal bank accounts have. Compound interest, but I'll first explain simple interest. And with simple interest, say you have 400 euros, you put it into an account, and the bank says, we'll give you 5% of interest per year. Every year, you will receive 5% of that 400 euros. And your interest each year will be the same. It'll be 5% of 400 euros each of those years that you keep it in there. In our example, we're going to keep it in the bank for 3 years. Compound interest, say you put 400 euros into the bank and they tell you we'll give you 5% compound interest per year. That interest that you earn is reinvested. That means the 5% of 400 euros is added to your account. That makes your account bigger, so this 400 goes up, and the next year the 5% is calculated over that greater amount. And so because of that, and I'll show you in a minute, because of that, the interest that you earn increases every year, because every year it's calculated over a greater amount. Let's compare these two situations, simple interest and compound interest. We're putting in $400 into each of these two accounts. One promises us 5% simple interest, the other promises us 5% compound interest. Okay. Do the simple one first. After 1 year, we are receiving 5% interest over that 400 euros. So 5%, I like to write it as a decimal, 5% of 400 euros, what is that? That is 20 euros. So we have just received 20 euros of interest plus. Second year, at the end of the year, we've had our money in there another year, and the bank says we'll give you 5% of the money that you put in at the beginning once again. 5% of 400 is still 20 euros. So once again, plus 20 euros. Yeah? At the end of the third year, as a thank you for leaving your $400 in there another year, we receive another 5% of 400, which is 20 euros. So plus 20 euros. And at the end of this period, the total interest that we've earned, of course, is plus 60. So together with the money that we've put into the bank, 400, that gives us a total of 460. So if we decided to take our money out of the bank right now, we would get the 400 that we initially put in. We call that the principal amount, the original amount, plus the 60 euros interest, right? And it gives us 460. We could formulate a formula to calculate the interest. So to actually calculate this 60, the interest, where shall I write this? I'll do it here. The interest over a certain time period is equal to the principal amount times the rate times the number of years we kept it in there. I is the interest earned, P is the principal amount, R is the interest rate as a decimal, and T is time in years, because the rate, your interest rate, will also be per year, so your time is also going to be whole years, right? And this gives us the interest earned, so the 60 euros. So in this case, that would be the interest earned was principal amount was 400 times the rate, which is 5%, and see how that is just this calculation here, 5% times 400 euros, 400 euros times 5%, that equals, this equals that 20, right? And then we multiply it by the number of years, 1, 2, 3, that we kept it in there, to get the total interest earned. That would be 60. Okay, that's simple, right? That's why it's called simple. Compound interest. We have that 400 euros. We get 5% compound interest a year. So at the end of 1 year, we receive, well, 5% of 400. So far, so good. It's the same as simple interest. We receive 20 euros. It is added to our account. So our new balance is then 400 that we had in there, plus the 20 that we just received, 420, right? After the second year, at the end of the second year, the bank says, oh, thank you so much for lending us your money, loaning us your money, whatever. We are going to give you 5% interest over your account balance, which was 420. Now, obviously, 5% of 420 is going to be more than 5% of 400. 5% of 420 is 21 euros. So we're going to add, the bank is going to add the 21 euros to your account for 41, right? At the end of the third year, they'll say, thank you so much for letting us use your 441 euros. We're going to give you 5% interest over that amount that we've had all year to use as we please. So we'll give you 5% of 441. That is a greater amount still, 22 euros and 5 cents. They're going to add that to your account at the end of the third year, and they're going to say you now have 463 euros and 5 cents. So let's compare the total balance after 3 years. Compound interest, because the interest is reinvested, obviously gives you more money at the end, right? Now, do I have a nice formula for this type of interest as well? Yes, I do. And it looks like this. And be careful, because while for simple interest we are calculating the interest earned in total, for compound interest we're actually directly calculating the total amount at the end. So here we were calculating I, the interest in total earned. Here we're calculating what is our end balance, so the full amount, right? The full amount we have at the end is the principal amount, the 400 euros we put in at the beginning, times 1 plus the interest rate as a decimal, and this reminds us a lot of percent increase because it's exactly the same, and then to the power of t. P is still the principal amount, R is still the rate as a decimal, T is still the time in years. The only new letter here is A. A equals the amount total at the end. And in our example, we can say A equals P was 400 euros times 1 plus 5% as a decimal to the power of T, the number of years we kept it in there, is 3. So it is 400 times 1.05 to the power of 3. And if I were to calculate that, that would obviously give me 463 and 5 cents. Yeah? So these formulas you will see a lot. You are always, of course, free to either use the formulas or use common sense and just go through the steps. If it's 27 years, that's not the smartest thing to do. You could do it here, but this would become complicated. You have to do this 27 times. So in that case, knowing the formula would be nice. You can always go through these steps and figure out the formula for yourself, right? If that's a nice puzzle. So there you go.